Hey, future weapon enthusiast, Nick Young here, CEO of Desert Tech. And I'm here to tell you what I hate about the AR-15 rifle. But before we get into that, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. First, as I go through this breakdown, understand that the perspective that I'm going to take is from the engineering standpoint. So when we design guns, we look at how do we actually improve performance capabilities of a product. And what are defined as performance capabilities? One is an increased lethality, another one is increased speed, another one is increased shootability, and then increased mobility and increased reliability, and the sixth one is increased durability. So if we can do those things, and specifically all six of those things at the same time, then that's the most innovative that we can really accomplish as we make our next generation rifle systems. So from that perspective, I'm going to talk about things that actually hinder one of those six things and hurt what the performance is on the rifle. So first, we're going to talk about ergonomics. And the single biggest gripe I have on the ergonomics side is the placement of the charging handle. I think it is the dumbest place that you could put a charging handle on the entire gun, because it does a lot of things wrong. The first thing that it does wrong is it really increases the distance that your body has to move to be able to charge the weapon. So if you're up on target and you come back to charge the weapon, you got to bring your hand all the way back. And not only that, you have to lift your head up off of the rifle. And so it makes it slower and less ergonomic. And at the same time, it restricts your options with what you can do back here in the stock area. So you can't really have an adjustable cheek piece because the charging handle would hit that cheek piece. And even if you did have an adjustable cheek piece, the design with the buffer tube and the collapsing stock actually moves that cheek piece with the stock. So that's an issue. For me, having any cheek piece back here really doesn't work because I have a pretty long neck, and so my face generally goes in front of the cheek piece anyway. And so, but yeah, so that's a big issue for me ergonomically. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the adjustable stock pulls my beard hair out all the time. It's not a huge deal, but it just hurts, and you just know what's going to happen. You come up, rips it out, come up, rips it out. Second one is I really don't like the safety selector. Everybody kind of thinks this is the gold standard for ergonomic manipulation, and quite frankly, it's not. The best ergonomics would mean that you wouldn't have to really move your hand out of the firing position at all, and I really have to move my hand a decent amount to be able to take that safety off and on. Now, if I had one on the right side here, maybe I could make a little bit less hand movement, but in full auto, it's actually magnified because right now it's semi-unsafe. And if we had full auto, we'd have a 180 degree safety throw. And when we did the heat shootout, me sitting there constantly switching between full auto and safe all day long was a pain in the butt. And it really is not a ergonomic safety selector location. Now, I feel like one that would be similar to like the H&K MP7 submachine gun location would give you a little bit less movement on your hand to actuate, and you don't have to throw the lever 180 degrees to go between full auto and semi-automatic fire. Now, the other ergonomic issue is I really don't like the standard bolt release location, but in its defense, as we did the heat shootout and we had a lot of stress on us and we were doing a lot of full auto drills, and when your brain wasn't thinking, then it was pretty simple to just remember to slap the side of the gun. So in that sense, I feel like that, there's a place for that simple motor movement. But as far as speed reloads and rapidly dropping the bolt, something more in line with, that would do much faster bolt release than having to take your offhand and slap the side of the gun. So there's definitely improvements to be made on the bolt release. The other ergonomic issue that I've had is trying to mount slings midpoint here. Our Quattro 15 lower receiver has this integral sling mount for this reason. all of my previous ARs, then I would actually get some kind of a plate that would bolt between the lock nut and the receiver. And in every single case, then this lock nut has come loose, and I've tried staking it and just tightening it down, and just the weight of a sling pulling on that all the time is constantly causing this lock nut to back loose. So ergonomically, this lock nut is a mess. If you ever try to actually do anything with accessories that go underneath this locking nut. Moving forward, as far as ergonomics, I think that's all the gripes I've had on ergonomic issues with AR-15s. Moving forward, the second biggest thing is reliability. So I've had at least a dozen ARs in my lifetime, AR-10s, H&K, and Bushmaster, and Rock River, and CMMG, and SIG, most every single brand you can think of, and I've had more malfunctions with my AR platforms than I have of any of the rifles made by the European counterparts. And even in military testing, they're reporting that they're having one stoppage every 500 rounds. And the XM8 by H&K had one stoppage every 2,500 rounds. In our Wolverine testing, we had one stoppage every 2,000 rounds. And so, the military reporting one stoppage every 500 rounds does not inspire a lot of confidence in the platform. My next gripe is durability. So I really dislike this buffer tube back here, and it's not the strongest, and there's potential for breakage if you have any kind of an impact, especially at a dropping impact with this buffer tube. As well, the barrel trunnion, or the barrel mount, on most ARs is pretty flimsy actually, and it's not really very built up. And so the result of that is just putting side tension on the handguard, you can actually flex the barrel out of alignment with the receiver. Or just by putting it on a bipod versus sling. Our 3-gun partners have mentioned that they actually test their zero in all their shooting positions because they are seeing the zero change with their ARs between slung and standing and bipod shooting due to that barrel mount being pretty flimsy. Now, not all ARs have a flimsy barrel mount. Some of the more refined designs are improved. I also have not had a lot of luck with the buffer systems in ARs. I've had a lot of them fail and cause malfunctions by dragging pieces back and forth inside of the tube. As far as mobility goes, the AR really doesn't have very good mobility. So it's restricted on its overall length by the fixed buffer tube and the bolt carrier pathway that needs to be there. And so in order to shorten the rifle and improve mobility, then they resort to chopping the barrel. And they did the same on the NGSW rifle. They just hacked the barrel down. And but even if you could have a side folder on this guy, you couldn't fire it anyway because the bolt carrier design wouldn't allow it to cycle. So, but as they have chopped those barrels to improve mobility, they gave up a key performance indicator, and that was lethality. So initially, Eugene Stoner intended the 5.56 cartridge to be run with a 20-inch barrel, firing the 62 grain bullet at 3,150 feet per second. So as you go down to this 10.3 inch barrel, then you're reducing the velocity over 600 feet per second. Now 600 feet per second, that's the difference in velocity between a 308 Winchester and a 300 Winchester Magnum. To put things in perspective, that is a massive reduction in lethality just to get the mobility. And it's no wonders that the military tried to regain that lethality that they gave up when they started cutting the guns down. Oh, another issue that occurs when you chop the barrel down like this is it makes so that your gas port is closer to the chamber, which brings more gases, more debris, shorter dwell time, which makes your cycle rate of your action a lot faster. induces more wear, more dirt, and more frequent cleaning and less reliability when you do this. Another issue that really hurts the reliability is the fact that it poops where it eats. The direct impingement system puts the gases right in the shooter's face and coats your bolt carrier and your magazine and your feed ramp area with debris, so that the reliability suffers because of that. There's a metric that the military uses called survivability, and survivability is measured from signature. So they don't want people to see you, they don't want people to hear you, and so the standard birdcage flash hider that comes stock on M4s is really not that awesome. There's substantially better options out there, very easy to remedy, to replace. One of the other issues with noise is you have your movement between your upper and lower your receiver kind of can rattle, as well as the stock itself, the way that it mounts, can induce some rattle and noise. So I like guns that are quiet, that don't have all of these rickety noises. So one of the things we did to solve that on our Quattro 15 is we put a set screw above the pistol grip right here so that you can torque down the upper and lower receivers, so that you can at least eliminate the play between the receivers. My last gripe, as far as the mechanics of the M4 platforms, is in their 3-shot trigger. So the 3-shot burst trigger grouping, then when you pull the trigger, if you don't cycle all 3 rounds before you release the trigger, and then you pull it again, then it forces you to shoot the remaining rounds of that first trigger press before it will reset to have all 3 rounds again. So I pull the trigger and let go and it fires 2 rounds. I pull the trigger again, it fires 1 round. And I have to release it before it resets to 3. I think that's just kind of hokey and just lazy engineering to not have it reset every time you let go of the trigger. The single biggest issue I have with the M4 is that it is an innovation killer. And it's an innovation killer because most people don't want to move beyond the AR platform because they believe that whatever the military is using is the best. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. You look, and the M4 was adopted, or M16, M4 rifle has been adopted for the last 50 years. And so within 50 years, if somebody hasn't been able to make something better than that, that would be a very big surprise. But they have, and they've had attempts to actually dethrone the M4. For example, HK had the XM8 project, which outperformed the M4 substantially. So in trials, their XM8 went 2,500 rounds with 0 stoppages, but the M4 in the same trials had a stoppage on average every 500 rounds. So once the program directors saw that the M4 was losing by a big margin, they shut the program down, claimed that there was no significant improvement in reliability, which they've done over and over and over for a variety of reasons. Maybe they just didn't want to invest in the new platform. Maybe they have some politics in play. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that part, but just know that if you think that what the military is adopting is the best, it's not always the best. Doesn't mean that the program officers don't have good intentions, because I know a lot of the guys that are actually working these programs, and they're great guys and they have the best intentions, but a lot of times things happen beyond their control, or they have to make compromises to try to make a whole team of different people happy, and so at the end of the day, nobody really gets what they want. So that happens a lot. Now you got the NGSW, which I talked about in another video that I'll link into this video. I don't want to turn this into an NGSW video. So what makes the AR15 so popular? Well, there's really 2 reasons. Obvious one is the US military adopted the M16 a long time ago, turned it into the M4, and many variants since then. And so people like to own what the military uses, right? The second reason, which is even probably more prevalent, is the fact that the AR-15 had an unfair advantage after the Clinton campaign embargoed importation of European rifles, which didn't allow FN and H&K to bring their rifles into the US anymore. And so we saw prices of those guns skyrocket, and then they did the magazine ban too shortly after that. And the combination of those two things really pushed people into the AR-15 platform to try to make this platform work, because everybody had a lot of AR-15 magazines, and so all the new developers had to make guns to fit these existing pre-ban magazines that people already had. And then they didn't have really any competition coming from Europe, because they couldn't send their guns over here. And so when I say unfair advantage, it was an absolute monopoly unfair advantage for the AR-15 platform. It owned the entire market, even though at the time it really didn't deserve to own the entire market. And that really bothered me, that was the limitations that were set on us because of the government. Now, the AR-15 did get better over time, and a lot of people innovated some things into the platform to help resolve a lot of the reliability issues. So there was some positives that came out of that. One of the big positives is the new magazine systems that are now being manufactured by Lancer and Magpul and some others that have really enhanced the accuracy or the reliability of the AR-15 platform. So those two things catapulted the AR-15 up on a pedestal, and many people believe this is the best of the best, and it's not. It's a good gun. I do like the AR-15 for some attributes, but quite frankly, the AR-15 was never what we at Desert Tech ever wanted to create, because of the reasons that I mentioned. So we like to leapfrog out in front of people and leapfrog out in front of the competitors' designs. And like I says, make sure that it's more lethal, more mobile, faster, more shootable, more reliable, more durable, all of those things all at the same time. And this platform limits what those things can be in its current form. If I was to compare Desert Tech to high performance car builders, I would say that we are the McLaren of the gun world. So we focus first on innovation and performance, and then let everything else fall where it's going to fall. And like McLaren, that intense reach for innovation means that we take risks, means that we stumble and we fall, means that we have more frequent improvements in engineering and things in that respects, because we're not just regurgitating ARs. We're pushing the envelope, and as we do that, we're in the mode of discovery. We build the greatest that we could possibly build, and we realize, you know what, there's still more opportunity. And so we chase that opportunity. Not everybody wants to be a part of that, and I can respect that. I would say that the AR-15 is probably like the Porsche 911. It has a really good reputation. People believe it's one of the best, but engineering-wise, the rear-mounted engine in the Porsche throws off the handling and the cornering, and it can't overcome that disadvantage no matter what it does. And so having a center-mounted engine, kind of like our center-mounted engine, is going to give much better dynamics and movement and mobility. I mean, just like driving a car. I just went over what I don't like about the AR-15. Now I'm going to tell you what I do like about the AR-15. I really like the ergonomics of the adjustable length of pull. I like how fast it is to deploy. I've used other collapsing stocks and side folding stocks, and I prefer to have that quick actuating sliding action. I also love the mag release button location. Best button location that I can see for a mag release. I love that the magazines drop free and you don't have to sit there and pivot them in and out like the AK or the HK series rifles. And I like that it has a bolt stop. So being able to have a bolt stop is an awesome addition. And I like the shootability of the direct impingement system. So we talked about some of the issues inherent with the direct impingement system, but it makes it very shootable. Center line, so that for those that don't know, in a direct impingement system, the gas goes up in a gas tube and comes back, and the gas enters the center of the bolt carrier, and then that gas expands, moving forward, pushing the bolt head forward, pushing the bolt body rearward, and causing it to uncam and open. That aids in reliability of extraction, and it makes so that those inertia points are in the center line of the gun, which reduces any kind of vertical movements during recoil. So makes it very shootable. I like the lightweight construction. Most AR-15s are about 6.4 pounds, and that's a very lightweight, mobile platform to carry around weight-wise. I like the rail systems. I think that the AR-15 platforms really was the primary platform that did revolutionize different rail mounting options on rifles. So like the rail mounting solutions. But that's the things I like about the AR-15. So those are the things that I dislike and like about the AR-15 rifle. Please let me know in the comments what you like or dislike about what I said, or what you like or dislike about the gun. Thanks for watching.